Okay, so I was asked this question on, does stuff have to come up um, to be released, or is it like you're already in bliss? And so my take, and what I also is related to how I'm practicing this week, and I'll just repeat to give context to how I sort of see this, the appearances that seem to occur in this consciousness. So I did see a teacher of enlightenment a long time ago. I've shared this experience, and he asks, "What am I?" And he teaches this. I call it the observer technique. What is it here that's observing everything? And so I said, "Look, there's this observer behind me, and it's observing." And he said, "Well, what's behind the observer that's observing everything?" And then suddenly the whole world disappeared in infinite light and love. uh, at the level of it, at the level of the infinite. So, I mean, no thought, no me, no memories, no time, no contrast, light and love at such an intensity that nothing else can exist. And nothing will ever exist and can exist in that light. It's impossible. It's an impossibility. Nothing exists there. Time, me, you, pictures, shadow can't exist. Impossibility for anything to exist there. Eventually, something occurred, which is the impossible identification with something that turned out to be thought, then the reappearance of the world. But there was bliss and ecstasy and witnessing. And then later, as the day progressed and there was more identification with thought, there was the return to that contracted, identified consciousness of the body and thinkingness, and the loss of the states of the infinite light and then the infinite bliss and the infinite oneness back into like a thinking head and body, into the darkness of duality. So, so what is this world, and what about? Do I have to transcend this world? Well, for me, it's kind of obvious. Of course, the world will keep reappearing, and what is reappearing in the world is my ego. Yeah, and when I'm fed up of re-identifying with the illusions of my ego, then the world will cease to reappear. Kind of obvious. Why does time exist? Why do I keep falling back into time? Why do I keep experiencing a body again? Why do I keep experiencing a me and a you? Why do I even experience a world? Why do I experience unforgiveness? Why do I even experience thoughts? Well, it's because I still get a payoff. There's still an addiction for bringing that stuff back into existence. If it had been transcended, so the world will keep reappearing, the body will keep reappearing, thoughts will keep reappearing, me and you appears, the story of me, light and dark will continue to appear as long as I still have that addiction to bringing those things back into experience. So what is experienced is my unwillingness or my unforgiveness or my pre-existing addiction to bringing this stuff back into when I have no more craving to bring duality back into existence, it will cease to reappear. There's all the different elements of existence: time, me, body, you, light, dark, a story. The one that for me is where I am in my evolution, of course, the critical of not identifying with thought. Because for me, that's an extreme, like forget thought, because that for me is where I am. It's like that's one of the primary addictions, just to be in the head, and that the head has any meaning. It has no meaning. And when the addiction to thought and going back to the drug of thinkingness is gone, then that's a much more freer, more expansive, more happy, blissful state than actually just going back to being addicted to the story of the thoughts. And what's the next addictive thought that some story of me or whatever it is, some ego story that is so fascinating that I would deny the infinite for wallowing in the story of thinkingness. So yes, So that the world keeps reappearing on at whatever level, whether it's thoughts, images, memories, pictures, time, a body, me, you, a story of me and you, a story of unforgiveness, whatever it is, pain, suffering, illness. As long as that's appearing, yes, that's the stuff that for me needs to be transcended. So the world reappearing in every moment is whatever reappears is what needs to be transcended. And when the world ceases to appear, i.e., in a dualistic fashion, in there's a sense of me with a sense of otherness, whether it be thoughts, pictures, images, bodies, whatever it is, then that's reappearing for transcendence because it's not yet been transcended. So as more and more stuff is transcended, released, the addiction to bringing it back into the present moment has been let go of. I don't need the body to reappear. So I'm going to let that go. I don't need the thoughts to come back because I'm letting go of the addiction to thoughts and time and me and you and contrast and illness. Then they cease to reappear, but they will keep reappearing as long as there's stuff in me that wants that stuff to reappear and is getting payoff. I like to think of it because I come from a 12-step background as addiction, not yet willing to give the payoff of indulging in thoughts, in images, memories, the grand story of me. How important is my story? So all of that stuff, while I still value it, it'll still keep reappearing. So, and while the world keeps reappearing, that's it. I've still got stuff to, I mean, what do I have to work on? Well, what's appearing? For me, it's like if, there's levels of infinite light and love, and there's levels of shade or obscuration. How can I experience infinite light when I'm addicted to thoughts, the body, me and you, darkness? So that stuff, as long as there's still some identification or wanting that stuff to come in, or an ability to get out of the fog and gain clarity to release that stuff, or for the miracle to occur to give me the consciousness to let it go, or the inspiration to let it go, then that stuff will keep reappearing. So, so I hope that, yeah. So of course, for me, of course, the world will keep reappearing. Of course, if the world reappears in states of bliss, there's not so much to let go of. Or if there's pain, suffering, and horror, it's a horror movie, then there's probably quite a lot of stuff that I need to look at, to transcend, to let go, to forgive, whatever is the appropriate mechanism at that level of consciousness. Okay, so I'll stop there.